Hey y'all, hi people, welcome back to another Netflix recommendations video. You will actually be proud of me because I've been doing things other than staying in the house and watching Netflix all day. But these movies that I'm going to be recommending to y'all are some movies that I've seen in the past couple of months. If this is your first Netflix recommendations video of mine, there's an entire playlist. Go and watch the first one because this is what I do for a living. I watch Netflix. So the first movie I'm going to start off with is Red Dot. I'm pretty sure it's a Swedish scary movie. It is about this newlywed couple. They had only been married for like a year and a half and they're really stressed, and so they just wanted to get away. They ended up booking this trip to go skiing somewhere, or like camping out to go see like the Northern Lights, I believe. On the way to them going to this like ski resort or wherever they're gonna be at for their vacation, they just bump into some awkward men, and basically these men just start to stalk them throughout their entire vacation. Red Dot is so unpredictable. You think you know what's going on, but then you don't, and then something happens, and then you thought you knew, but you just don't know. This group of men are targeting this couple for something like small that is mentioned in the movie, or that you'll see in the movie. Like I think the husband might have like keyed the car or something, or the wife did something, but later on it gets shown in the movie that that couple actually did something and they have to pay for what they did. I highly recommend watching Red Dot if you just enjoy a good thriller. This next movie is an absolute classic. Now if you didn't grow up watching scary movies like I did, you definitely missed out on like early 2000s, the late 90s like scary movies, because those movies back then were an entire vibe. So there's a family of four, or is it three? Yeah, there used to be a family of four. The mom died in a house fire. So the dad of the family, his name is Arthur, he gets this letter from his like long lost uncle, I want to say. So there's Arthur, his two kids, and then there's a babysitter, and they're really struggling at the moment with their housing situation, being that they lost everything in the fire, so they had to start completely over. His long lost uncle Cyrus was like a genius. Like I don't know if he was a billionaire or not, but anyway, that doesn't matter. He still had a lot of money. So they go to this house. The house is magnificent. It is beautiful. It is made out of like tempered glass with writings all over it. I forgot what language the writing is in, but this is important because eventually they come to find out that all of the writings on the walls in the house are spells. They are boundary spells for ghosts. Now while the family tours the home, of course, goes down and ghosts start to appear and pop out and start doing some stuff. The whole premise behind this movie, besides like Arthur uncovering a secret about his uncle that gave him the house, he also learns about each and every single one of the ghosts that lives in the house. Every ghost that's in that house, clearly they had a past. Like we all have a past, like we all have a life before we die, and that ties into the title 13 Ghosts. So I think I'm just gonna stop right there when it comes to the description, and y'all can just look at the rest or even look at the trailer. But as far as production wise, it does look old because it was made in the early 2000s and the camera and equipment weren't the same. So if you don't like the production of the movie, then still watch it. That's what you should. This is a true crime documentary about how these women met this guy. I can't even remember what kind of fake name he even made up, but his name was like Levian, or let's just call him Lev. So they meet him on Tinder. There are so many women that have been wronged by this guy, but I think there are at least 4 in the documentary, like 3 or 4. And each of the women are telling their stories about how they met Lev, how they fell in love with him, all of the luxurious trips that he took them on, and all of the stuff that he buys for them. So Lev is a catfish. Lev was personifying being this son of like a Russian, Israeli, like rich billionaire or whatever. And this whole man's life is a lie. He is low-key a damn genius because of how he just swooned these women over, had them taking out credit cards, taking out personal loans, taking out so much money to send to him. And the reason why they were sending him so much money was because he always used the excuse that his enemies were after him and that people were after him, they were threatening him. And also they believed that his lifestyle was just like big and glamorous because of what they experienced with him. Now typically I really don't like watching series like this because it's really sad how some people, especially women, can just be so dumbfounded at times and just fall for anything. But given the circumstances of what they, you know, were exposed to and thought what his life was, I could see I could see how they would be desperate for love, but also no, he was basically just cashing and playing games with these women. Eventually he gets caught. I think he did like a year in jail, not even, and then he got out, still Tinder swindling his way through life. So the trilogy After, I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a fourth one, maybe even a fifth one. There's After We Collided, and After We Ended, I think. And the first one is about Tessa. She graduates from high school, she goes off to college. It profiles the life of any casual like freshman that is going into university, trying to maneuver their way around campus, learning more about the person they want to become with different experiences that they have in college. Eventually she changes in a way that she wasn't the same person like who she was when she graduated high school. She also had a boyfriend, her high school sweetheart, which she eventually breaks up with. She meets this guy named Hardin, and he is this typical badass off the rocks type of guy, and it's completely opposites attract. She was this goody two shoes who is experiencing more of a flavor type of whatever Hardin has going on. I really enjoy this movie because it just shows you how people change without wanting to change. You know, like change is inevitable. These movies touch on heartbreak, of course, a little bit of mental health, and some drugs, a lot of drugs. Toxic relationships, bro. That, I should have said that first. And in the second movie, it just gets worse and worse and better. They're both toxic to each other. It takes us through their entire relationship, and it has a lot of character development. So we'll see Hardin's past and how he was brought up and how he went to school, and then we'll also get to see Tessa's like perspective. So if you watch the first movie, you have to watch the second movie, and if you watch the second movie, you have to watch the third movie, and you have to watch them in order, otherwise it wouldn't make as much sense. Has anybody ever heard of hypnotherapy? I want to try it, but the idea of somebody being in control of my mind and my thoughts is just very not it. If you saw The Haunting of Hill House, this actress, I cannot remember her name from the top of my head. She is amazing. In every single thriller or scary movie or show that she does, she is absolutely amazing. In this movie, she plays Jen. I can't remember if she was seeking out hypnotherapy for like PTSD or nightmares or whatever, but she is wanting to just have better control of her life. Okay, let's just put it that way. One of her friends told her that their therapist would help her. The hypnotherapist, his name is Dr. Mead, fine as hell. He is sick as hell. He starts to take Jen on as his patient or as his client. They start to have these sessions, right? He introduces her to hypnotherapy, talks her through it, walks her through the process and how it's gonna help her with her day-to-day life. After a couple of sessions, she just started to get like this weird vibe, like weird feeling. A character in the movie dies, and the way that she dies is very suspicious. Jen starts to ask questions more about the practice of Dr. Mead and just like where he came from and just certain things about him. And eventually, as she's getting or having more and more sessions with him, she realizes this ain't the shit that she signed up for. That is the best that I can do. If you watch the trailer, you can definitely see that some sick stuff goes on. Let's just say that Dr. Mead did not have the best intentions when it came to taking on Jen and helping her. He used her plain and simple. If you are an 8-year-old, this would be scary for you. But if you are a 14-year-old, I think you'll be alright. Now, scary stories to tell in the dark. There's a group of teenagers. On Halloween night, they go to this haunted house, which is an abandoned house that used to belong to the Bellows family. One of the kids actually found a book of like scary stories that were written by Sarah Bellows. Sarah was the daughter of the family. Sarah was accused of doing witchcraft because she would write these stories and basically the kids in a little town would disappear. So she was to blame for that. So one of the kids takes the book of stories with them. She takes them out of the house. Here is one thing I've definitely learned. If I'm going into an abandoned house or a haunted house, I'm not gonna take something out of there and then bring it with me, because you're just inviting a spirit. You're inviting bad things to happen to you wherever you go because you're carrying around something that doesn't belong to you. Oh, people. So the girl Stella begins flipping through the book and reading these stories. She's reading them out loud, and basically everything that happened like long ago before Sarah died is happening now. Every time Stella reads a story, somebody died. There's also new stories being written about the kids in that friend group, and stuff starts to happen to her friends. So now Stella has to figure out what happened to Sarah. How did she die? How did this book come along and all of these stories, and I think it's a really great scary movie for kids. I wish and I really hope they come out with a part 2, because the way it ended off, I think there'll be another movie just to answer more questions that happened in the first movie. Scary stories to tell in the dark. So last but not least, I'm gonna talk about Dark Desire, which is a Spanish series. In the title, kind of already describes what the series is about. So right now there are 2 seasons and about 30-ish episodes. There's Alma. She is a law school professor. She's married to a judge, and in every episode it just shows how a happy married couple on the outside has trouble with their marriage, and that you just truly don't know what goes down behind closed doors. If you love drama shows, I would say look at Dark Desire. Every episode is so different. Like, you really just have to watch the show to truly know what goes on, the messed up stuff that happens, and how you just can't trust people. That is all for now, everyone. Those are all of my Netflix recommendations that I enjoyed for these past couple of months. I really hope that you like any of the shows or movies that I've talked about. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, please and thanks, because if you aren't subscribed, I'm just going to weep and cry all day. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. Not that y'all will see it.